Hello everyone, welcome to Durrett's Take. It's that time of the week where I go over my personal top 10 games for college football week 2 and go over my predictions for them. So let's get started. The clear game of the week is obviously 11 Texas versus 3 Alabama. Alabama being 7-point favorites. This was a great game last year, and I expect that to be the case again this time around. Something that's interesting is Alabama, apparently, from what I heard, is already banged up in the secondary. And since Texas has good receivers, now Alabama had trouble against them last year, that is something to keep an eye on throughout the game. Fans, including myself, had some question marks about the Crimson Tide quarterback situation. While Jalen Monroe got most of the snaps and played really well, I can't really take much away from it since it was against Middle Tennessee State. No offense to them. I'm curious now to see in a big game if Monroe is going to take care of the ball, unlike last year when against A&M last year he didn't. If he does, then the Crimson Tide should survive once again at home, because they most of the time always win at home under Nick Saban. Now, I'm going to go on a limb and say he doesn't play a clean game and it allows Texas to come in and get the big upset. That's right. I'm going Texas 24-23 and a nail biter. I realize I could be wrong on that, but that's just my gut feeling there. Okay, number 2, 23 Texas A&M versus Miami. A&M 4.5-point favorites. To say this is an important game is an understatement. Both teams missed out on bowl games last year, and both teams need to prove that they're back to being good, to great programs. Since both teams got new offensive coordinators, I think this will be more of an offensive game than it was last year when these two teams played. Then the question becomes, okay, who has the better defense that can get the clutch stop? To me, that is A&M. So even though this game is in Miami, I like the Aggies get the big win on the road here, either winning 28-23. Not a game I would bet, though. 3, you got 13 Oregon versus Texas Tech. Oregon being the 6.5-point favorites. This is a huge game, despite Texas Tech losing at Wyoming in double overtime last week, which, by the way, no matter if Wyoming is a lead or not, it's a tough place to play. A lot of people now think Oregon is going to come in and just destroy the Red Raiders. As the legendary Lee Corchell says on game day, not so fast. Unlike other teams who surprisingly lost last week, like a Baylor, I don't think the Red Raiders' goals... Well, I do think the Red Raiders' goals of a Big 12 title pursuit is still within play, in my opinion. There was a reason this team was hyped up in the offseason. Plus, while Texas Tech is not a good road team, as evidenced in Game 1, historically they're a way better home team. So I'm going to take the Ducks to win, but I do think the Red Raiders can cover the spread here and make this game very interesting, and I think it can come down to the wire. I have Oregon winning 31-28. Number 4, you get 20 Ole Miss versus 24 Tulane. Ole Miss being 7.5-point favorites. This is an underrated game despite it being a matchup of two top 25 teams. Ole Miss can't afford a non-conference loss at all. And for Tulane, they want to prove that they have the best resume once again to go back to a Year 6 bowl game as the best Group of 5 team. I think Tulane can hang around in this game, but I do think Ole Miss's offense will be just too explosive for Tulane to stop it in. So I have Ole Miss winning 49-34. 5, you got 10 Notre Dame versus North Carolina State. Notre Dame being 7.5-point favorites. We get to see two good teams from last season break in new offensive coordinators and quarterbacks. Luckily for Sam Hartman, Notre Dame, Sam Hartman is used to playing against North Carolina State from his ACC days, so I feel on offense the Irish should be fine. The Wolfpack offense against the Irish defense is the thing to look out for in this game. If North Carolina State quarterback Brandon Armstrong, who's transferred over from Virginia, has truly fixed his issues from last year since he's reunited with offensive coordinator Robert Nye, who he's had the most success with, then I think the Wolfpack could get the upset. However, I think this is the year where the Irish show that they are different from last year, meaning that they can beat teams, that they're going to beat teams that they either are supposed to be or they're at least on par with. They're not going to have any weird losses. So I have Notre Dame winning 31-20. 6, you got Nebraska versus 22 Colorado. Colorado being 3.5-point favorites. Boy, how perception can change in an instant. Now people are on the Colorado bandwagon after they upset TCU last Saturday. I like what I saw, but I need to see them do it again against this team just to confirm that they, at minimum, will at least make a bowl game this year. Playing a rival team, no matter the record, is always tricky. If Colorado doesn't bring their A game, this game could get weird. Nebraska should be 1-0 coming into this game. Now, because Colorado is just way more dynamic, I'm going to pick them to win. But don't be surprised if Matt Rule and the Cornhuskers run the ball most of the time to bleed the clock and keep the high-powered Colorado offense off the field, since running the ball in Colorado is something that could be exploited, like TCU should have done more often in their game. I have Colorado winning 27-21. Okay, number 7, you got 19 Wisconsin versus Washington State. Wisconsin being 6.5-point favorites. Washington State got the upset in Madison last season, and I think we're headed for another great matchup between these two programs. Wisconsin has a prudent quarterback with SMU transfer Tanner Mordecai coming in, so if the Cougars can stop the Wisconsin, which will be hard to do, but if they can stop it, it doesn't mean like automatic win like it is in years past. However, the fact that it took till the end of the third quarter for the Badgers to finally put away Buffalo from the MAC was a little concerning, while the Cougars took care of Colorado State with ease. Since this game is in Pullman, and the Cougars arguably have the better quarterback in Cameron Ward, who's a very underrated quarterback, I think Washington State will actually get the upset here, or at least, at the very least, cover spread. I have the Cougars winning 23-20. Okay, number 8, you got Iowa versus Iowa State. Iowa 4-point favorites. A classic rivalry game that can fall under the radar, mainly because most of the time it's low-scoring games, which I assume will be the case here once again. Even though this game is in Ames, I like Iowa to win this game, mainly because I know what I get from Michigan transfer K. McNamara, but I don't know what I'm going to get from Iowa State quarterback Rocho Betch, who's only making his second career start, first against an FBS opponent. So give me the Hawkeyes over the Cyclones. I have them winning 14-6. Number 9, you got Arizona versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State being 9-point favorites. This could potentially be a shootout. Both offenses have really good quarterbacks. While it's tough for West Coast teams to play at East Coast teams, I do think Arizona's ready to prove that they're actually legit under their third-year head coach, Jed Fish. Plus, this will be the only. This will only be the third game Mississippi State's head coach Zach Arnett will be coaching. So against a solid opponent, how will he do? Will he look inferior? Or will he look like he's ready for the moment? I'm not sure. Since the Bulldogs are at home, I will take them to win, but don't be surprised if the Wildcats can cover that spread. I have the Mississippi State winning 30-24. And then last but not least, you can go with many different games. There's a lot of interesting games this week. This is one of the more better weeks as far as depth of good games go compared to other weeks. But I'm going to go with Auburn versus California here. Auburn being 6.5-point favorites with the late night game. There were plenty of other interesting games for the day, like I said, but this one stood out to me. And the reason why is because, for one, it's hard for West Coast teams to play at East Coast teams, like I said earlier. Well, it applies the other way around, especially when it's a late night game like this is. Auburn, albeit against an inferior opponent, looked dominant under head Hugh Freeze, which could be a sign that they may be more interesting than originally predicted. But California was the bigger story. California looked dominant. I mean, they played North Texas, but still, Colorado looked dominant against North Texas, scored 58 points. For one, the Bears don't dominate anyone, even against inferior opponents. And second, they definitely are not known for scoring a lot of points, let alone 58 points. So could it be a sign that they actually could be added as part of the Pac-12 contenders, and the same with Auburn SEC contenders? We shall see. I'll take the Tigers to win this matchup, but don't be surprised that this game is more interesting than it should be. I have Auburn winning 28-20. So there you go. Thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel to learn about me. For my next podcast on Tuesday, as I did last year, I'll be going over to my reactions to every single NFL game, and then obviously later in the week going over my predictions for the week. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel to learn about me. If you want to see my information, please go to my LinkedIn page, Durrett. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.